This is the 50% deal on. You can see the clock is ticking down, 1 day, 22 hours, et cetera, et cetera. So when you get iClone plus AccuFace, the 5,000 bonus points in the marketplace, DA points, and a couple other things here. I'm going to put this in the chat window just so you can take a look on your own time. I don't want to go too much into the marketing lingo here. But I do want to mention something that I'm in charge of is if you are a student or if you are a teacher or instructor at any university, please check out our Global Training Center page here. You get a 60% discount off the list price for any of our software. I'm going to put this in the chat as well. Highly recommend checking this out. You just need a valid ID, student ID or teacher ID, has the dates on it, and you can qualify for this discount. So this is probably, I mean, you could even just sign up for something just to get this discount, or sign up for a course or whatever just to get this discount at a university. But yeah, it depends on what you're getting. It might be worth it in the end. Okay, cool. So I think that's about all of the stuff that I need to go through before we get into the live demo. Like I mentioned, today is going to be about the Wrinkle system in Character Creator and iClone, which is, again, it's a couple months old. We did this webinar, I think 3 months ago, but it's just a little update for you guys here. And I'm happy to answer all your Q&A questions at the end of today's webinar. So yeah, again, thanks everyone for being here today. We're going to start off in Character Creator. This is a project that came with Character Creator 4, the Wrinkle project here. What we can do here is, if you want to find it, just go into your content manager. Under project, CC project, you'll find Susan expression wrinkles demo.cc project. All right, cool. Oh, I zoomed out a little bit. You can see it's they have some depth of field on there for the camera. You can zoom out, it's a little blurry, but there we go. Okay, I think that's the distance we want to get to. So I'm just going to play this back real quick, and you'll be able to see, notice particularly for this character, she has very subtle wrinkles, but she has fairly prominent wrinkles on her brow, like around the nasal area there, and a lot around the cheeks as well, and also some on the lips. So I'm just going to play this back for you. Again, you can just load this up yourself.
Sometimes you look at the wrong person not because you are jealous, but because you are kind. Instead of being disappointed about...
Again, it's a very, very subtle wrinkle performance. I'm just going to scroll through. So you can see, for example, right here, like on her upper lip, that is a wrinkle map. Okay, so this is basically a completely different system that's added on to your diffuse, your normal, and all that stuff. It's added on to that to kind of create an additional layer of realism for your characters, really. So I'd highly recommend checking out this character right here, or this project. We'll talk about a little bit about the UI in just a moment here as we go through. I want to just load up here. Yeah, so wrinkles, like I mentioned, they're a completely additional system on top of like your textures and your materials and everything like that. Now, if you have a character that has wrinkles enabled, like this character does, if you go to your modify panel, you'll see this little tab up here called Expression Wrinkles, and this will be active. You can activate it. If I deactivate it, look what happens around her mouth. Okay, basically, and also here you'll see some subtle wrinkle effects on the forehead there as well. If we deactivate it, activate it, that's the difference there. So again, like I mentioned, on this character, it's not a huge difference. We will have a character in just a moment that there's a more significant difference. You can also decrease or increase the overall influence of the wrinkles as well here if you want to be more subtle. This slider here allows you to do that. There's also the option down here to check with expressions. So if you want to see the wrinkle effects on your character, how they're affecting your character, you can select check with expressions here, and you can just go here, click on like the cheeks. You can see right there around her eyes, you got the crow feet going on there. And again, each one of these individually, you can increase or decrease the strength. Okay, so this one would be the cheeks right here. So this is the smile one right here. Again, it just deepens those smile wrinkles around the face. There's also the chin right here. This one's actually kind of cool. I think this one's pretty underrated, to be honest. The chin wrinkles right there, because when someone goes like that, like if I do that, you can see it's much more wrinkled than this would be right here. It looks very smooth right here. So this doesn't look realistic to me. But if you go like here, there's more tenseness in the chin area, and you can see those wrinkles appear right there. So that's basically what you want to do is you want to just check all these things, click on the individual areas. There's also neck as well, which a lot of people overlook. You can see the neck right here. If we increase or decrease the strength value on the neck, again, it just creates that sort of strain look on the neck. Now, these aren't technically wrinkles, I guess. They're more like musculature, maybe. But they do add to the realism of the character, which is, what we're going for. This is most of the wrinkle system is intended for characters that have for photorealism, for characters that we want them to be very realistic. Okay. Not much to go through in the UI here, to be honest, in terms of wrinkles. It's a fairly simple UI. Again, it's just a system that we just kind of incorporated into iClone in 8.3, which was September or October maybe. But you can just go back here, select neutral expression, and take your character back to neutral expression after you've tested out everything there. And you can set the level of strength there as well. Now, a couple things to be aware of here. Right now, we don't have these three parameters available for adjustment: AO increase line, redness, and normal strength. And we'll talk about that in just a moment. I'm just going to go through the rest of the UI here briefly before we start applying new wrinkle templates. But one thing I want to mention as well that's very important is rate of appearance. This is probably one of the more important parameters when it comes to the wrinkle system. And this is a speed parameter. So what happens here is if you have the speed very high, what's going to happen is it's not going to take a lot of expression. It's not going to take a very strong expression to make the wrinkles appear on the face. So say, for example, you have the speed value like really low here. If you have the speed value very low, I mean, your character can do an extreme expression like something like that. But the wrinkles they're not going to appear very quickly. However, if you have the speed value here very high, as soon as you start even making that extreme expression, the wrinkles will already appear. So it really depends on the scenario and your particular character. This speed value can be adjusted according to your preference. And again, it's not going to be the same for every character. It's going to be different. And you want to make sure you apply it to all regions as well. Okay, not just the region you have selected here. If you want it to be applied to all regions, which generally you would want to do, unless you're getting really nitpicky. Now here, down here is it's not really complicated, actually, to be honest with you. There's only 3 wrinkle sets. You can see they're color-coded, green, blue, and orange. These correspond on our dummy here with the green, which is the forehead and the chin. Okay. The blue, which is the brows, the nasal area here, the lower cheeks, the lower jaw there, and the neck. Okay. And of course the orange right here. So there's 3 different areas and 3 different wrinkle maps. If you look at these, for example, the diffuse, you can see, notice on the brow area, you can see the wrinkles right there. All right. But on the wrinkle set 1, the green one, you'll see the wrinkles on the forehead instead. So each of these wrinkle sets are basically assigned to a different area of the face. Just be aware of that. We'll talk more about that later. Again, it's not too important right now. Yeah, I think we're good on time. So let's go ahead and start up a new project. Actually, we don't need to start up a new project. Let's just bring in a new character. And I'm going to start applying wrinkles and stuff from scratch. And I'm just going to show you how, if you bring in a new character that's not assigned wrinkles yet, how you can assign those wrinkles and get everything started. So I'm going to go to my actor tab here and our packs. What's it called? There's a scan reality one, I think is what I was using. Scan. Oh, brings up the actor course stuff too. Oh, this guy, Ricardo here. All right. So I'm just going to load this guy in here. What? Oh, okay, yeah, we'll just bring it. So it has, I'm in the pack view here. I forgot I was in pack instead of item view. So he has eyes you can apply, teeth you can apply. But let's just go ahead and apply Ricardo 4K. Or no, let's just do 2K. Okay, just so The reason I'm using 2K here is because it's just it's a tiny bit faster, and for a live demo, it's going to be faster. Just to kind of show you guys the ropes here. 4K will obviously look slightly better, but again, in terms of speed, I want to be able to do this fast in the webinar. Again, if you want to go for photorealism, you want to use 4K. You want to use a 2K, but the 2K you'll see still looks pretty good. So I'll bring this character in here, this Ricardo, and we're gonna change him up a little bit. We're gonna give him some different skin color. We're gonna give him some hair and some brows and all this fun stuff, and we'll go from there. All right. So once he loads in, I'm going to. You can see right there. Yeah. I guess we'll keep the depth of field camera on. That doesn't really matter. Again, what you can do is you can also go to the content manager and just go back to your main top parent hierarchy here. Go to stage, and under stage you'll find light rooms. Now this scene effects one comes with iClone, or comes with Character Creator. This Light Studio is a content pack you can purchase from the content store. It's not too much. You can right click on it and so go to content info, or you can view items. Let's just go back here. One more. Hold on a sec. There we go. Content info. You can see it right here, and also view product page if you right click. I'll throw this in the chat window just for you guys, because I honestly find this one, it's you know, if you're kind of well, I guess we'll have to throw the entire thing in the chat window. But if you're, you want a really quick template for lighting and stuff like that, so you're working on a project, and the head is like, the PM is like, oh, we got to do this fast, just throw in some lights or whatever really quick. Light Studio is really good for that, so I'd recommend checking this out. It works again with Omniverse, and you can also use it with Unreal and Blender as well, like I mentioned before. Okay, back in here. So I'll go into Light Studio. There's different templates, like in Studio, for example, Phase 1. These are just nice lighting templates that make your character look better in certain situations. Again, it takes away the camera, so we don't need to worry about that webcam and stuff anymore. Again, you can see, even though it's 2K, it's not even 4K up close. It looks pretty decent. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to just modify a Ricardo here. Let's give maybe a bit more dramatic lighting scenario here. Something that looks a little bit better. Oh, there's so many of these to choose from. It's just kind of like, sometimes it's a bit... It's like a kid in a candy store. There's too many types of light scenarios. Let's just go for a basic one. Color room light. Okay, we're not going to worry too much about that. Okay, cool. So we have our character right here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just adjust him. Now, before we had this new wrinkle system, we had our system where you could actually apply like wrinkle layers. And if I do that, if I want to do that, I go to modify here and go up here to appearance. You can activate the editor right here. All right, so this is generally how you would adjust your character's skin texture and normals and all that stuff. You can still do it this way, but again, the normal system is on top of this. So we're going to add two systems right now. So we only have the one layer right now, the skin base. If I go to content, I'm going to go over to my character here under skin. Okay. Again, you have those normal effects. This realistic human skin pack, I highly recommend checking this out. It has a whole bunch of stuff, everything from like diffuse maps to normal maps to tattoos and everything like that. So highly recommend checking that out. Again, you can go to skin detail, normal effects. These are two packs that come, you can see facial wrinkles right here. The realistic human skin pack contains a number of different facial wrinkle templates. Like if I apply this face wrinkle 10, for example, it's going to add a bit more detail to our character's face. Very negligible at this point, but if we go to the modify and our appearance editor, we can see that if we click on these two layers, there's a wrinkle broad and a wrinkle fine. They each have their own normal maps that are applied. Okay. Hopefully you saw that right there. Okay. So you can increase the opacity of this. Notice that if I decrease it, increase it, very subtle difference. Okay, I can increase it to 100% if I want to go really hardcore. The broad one here, you can see the normal map for that. It's a bit more of the large size of wrinkles. So we can increase the size of that like this, or increase the size, increase the opacity, basically like the strength of it. So again, not a huge difference, but it is very subtle, and it does add to the overall effect of the character. So you want to be aware of these, and you can add multiple wrinkle templates on as well. Okay, you don't have to just be limited to one. You can add more on if you want. I'm going to keep it the way it is right now. It's a fairly heavy, I don't want my character to look too ragged. So that's the using the appearance editor, how you can add those wrinkles in the realistic human skin pack. Okay, so those are the normal maps that you added onto that. So on top of that, you can also go, instead of facial wrinkles, back in skin here, you can go to skin details, and there's things like roughness. Again, you can add additional things to this. Now, one thing to be aware of is if you add a little bit of like this oiliness, you can see this oily forehead or oily T part right here. If you add to this, oil, like oily or like higher specular values on your character's skin are often really useful to emphasize wrinkles. So if I go back into my appearance editor here and I use the oily one, look at the difference if I go to 0. Okay, the opacity is 0, and if I go to pass, well, obviously we want to pass 100 on this one, but maybe 50. Those they kind of like the wrinkles, the specular values of the wrinkles there, or of the skin, it kind of emphasizes the wrinkles. So I often tend to add one of these templates on there at least a little bit, and maybe tone it down a little bit, to 30 or something like that. But even that makes a nice difference on the forehead there. Okay, so once we're done with that, we can deactivate the editor here. I think that's all I'll do in the appearance editor, and that bakes all the textures. Just be aware of that. And from there, keep up with the time here. Let's go to our modify and materials for the character. If we want to change our character's skin color, the recommended way to do it is, first of all, make sure that your character, the skin part you want to change, is assigned a digital human shader type, a digital human skin shader type. Okay, so I'm just going to select all the digital human skins right here. The nails we don't have to worry about, whatever. And go down to skin color. Right, so this is a recommended way to change your character's skin color within Character Creator. Just activate skin color right here. Go to color adjustment, activate that, and then you can use these sliders here. You can give them a bit of a darker skin tone, use yellow and red, just add a bit more detail to it. And again, you can mess around with these, or you can also just use the effective color range here. Choose something like this, and notice that if you change this higher, your character's skin will go darker. If you change it to a darker color, it'll do the opposite. So just be aware of that. Again, we'll try and keep something a bit natural looking, maybe a bit more red in there. Okay, I'm not going to worry too much about this. It's not the focus of today's webinar. So there you go, skin color all done. And then when you finish that, when you finish adjusting the skin color, you want to make sure you bake skin color to diffuse map. Okay, because if you don't do that, it's not going to save. So now if you go up to our diffuse map here, you can see now it's darker. All right, for the head, body, all of them together, right there. All right, so darker skin color, pretty cool. Then we can throw on some hair and some brows. Just before we get into the wrinkle stuff here, I know I'm just doing some additional complementary stuff, but let's go over here to hair, and under hair, I think there's one called dreadlocks. Let me just dread. There we go. This is a pretty cool smart hair, and I think suitable for our character. Let's see what the loads in first with the progressive texture loading. Product page for this one. classic men's hairstyle by Rookie 3. So this, you get some pretty cool stuff. You can purchase from the content store again. It's all up to you whether what sort of hairstyles you're looking for, but just be aware you can find a lot of them on the content store as well. Close this down for now. We don't need to show that. All right, so we got the dreadlocks. Let's throw in some mustache and beard action as well. So a hair group. Let's just go to we have the beard and brows builder. This one right here. This is a pack that, you know, it's pretty essential if you're going to have any male characters with facial hair. I honestly think this pack is pretty essential. Of course, you can always model and create your own stuff and import it in as well, but I mean, the content store team at Realism kind of makes it easier for you to like just start with these templates anyways. You can just use them however you wish. All right, let's just throw in some silly old beard. I don't know, whatever. This guy might look kind of cool with a handlebar and a goatee. No, he doesn't look that cool with that, actually. I don't think it suits him. Let's do this one here. All right, Alex, you know, maybe a little bit better. I don't know. To each their own. And then back in hair group, let's go to eyebrows and let's just throw in some eyebrows here as well. Because these scan characters, they don't have separate eyebrow meshes and beard meshes and stuff. And these are pretty important for more realistic looking stuff. All right, so I think the eyebrows, we don't need to adjust those. The color's fine. You know, we could keep the mustache and the beard the same as well if you want. But again, if you want to adjust those, just make sure they're selected, go to modify. And then under modify, you have all the strand color stuff. You can see here, we can change this highlight color to, so it's not like highlighted a weird color. Let's change it to something like this. I don't know. This one here is also highlighted fairly bright. Again, you don't have to worry too much about this. Actually, I kind of think it looks better the way it was before. Let's just leave it like this. Maybe he's graying a little bit on his beard and he's using some sort of hair coloration. Again, hair color is not my focus on today's webinar, so we won't have to worry too much about that. Let's get this zoom thing out of the way here. Okay, so now we basically have our character. We're good to go. He looks good, but again, the wrinkle system adds an additional touch of realism onto this character. Now, if you go to your attributes here, notice that this character is CC3+. We'll talk about this a little bit later on, how you can convert a CC3 character to a CC3+ character. Very important if you because if you want to add the wrinkle system to your character, it has to be a CC3+ character. Just be aware of that. So let's go ahead and move over to our content manager then, where we can find the wrinkles. Let's go back up to our parent hierarchy here. And wrinkles can all be found if you go under actor, expression wrinkles. Okay. Now, character creator comes with some wrinkle templates. If you go under here, it'll be under characters, your characters pack. You can see here we have Kevin, Neutral, Camila, and Susan. All right. Now, take a look at there's a slight difference here on the top left, the little icon there on the top left of the thumbnail. And the difference for that is if I right click on the Camilla one here and I go to content info, notice it says wrinkle type is general live. So this means the wrinkle type, it's not baked in yet. It can be edited a little bit. And we'll talk about that later on. You can edit all those wrinkle maps that we showed earlier. Those ones on Susan that we showed at the very beginning, those were, if we click on Susan here, with the content info, those are individual, in parentheses, they're flattened. Okay, so those are basically just baked wrinkles. Okay, they're not, you can't edit them. You can't edit the individual wrinkle maps. So they're already baked. So just be aware of that when you go into wrinkle type, there's individual and there's the ones you can edit. For this one, there's 4K. We don't need to apply 4K because our character is really only 2K. Again, for speed purposes, I'm doing that. Let's go up to the main one. And there's also this Wrinkles Essentials content pack. I would be remiss if I didn't mention the Wrinkles Essentials content pack, which is is probably the most significant pack when it comes to character wrinkles. I'm going to throw this in the chat window as well for you guys. Shabba-da-boop, bang. There you go. Okay. Now this one contains a number of different wrinkle templates, some specifically for toon characters, which we'll talk about at the end of the live demo today. I'm going to be bringing in a toon character and exporting it to Unreal Engine. Okay, so I think it's time we start to do applying our wrinkles and exporting our character. Now, let's go ahead and apply some wrinkles essentials templates here. You can see they're stylized. So these stylized ones, obviously, based on the thumbnails, they're for toon type characters. There's also the realistic ones. These are for more realistic looking characters. If I, for example, apply this deep saggy one, this is a fairly strong template. It'll say selected avatar's expression set does not support expression wrinkles. Would you like to convert now? And what that means is that basically is referring to the facial profile. And we have the facial profile editor here. I'm going to show it to you in just a moment. It's going to automatically apply one of these templates here. Okay. CC4 standard, I recommend using CC4 extended because this is for CC4 extended contains more blend shapes and it's a much more detailed facial expression template. If you have more questions about this later, I can answer in the Q&A. Don't worry about that. I'm not going to explain too much about it. It says it's irreversible. Oh God, no. Yeah, we don't need to save the profile for now. We didn't even have a profile to begin with, so we're good to go. And when this applies, you'll see that our character, he has a neutral expression right now, so I'm not sure if any wrinkles are going to appear. But nope, we're good. So we can't see the wrinkles yet. They're only going to show when we have expressions on the character. Now, if you go to the facial profile editor here, you can see, you can go to edit expressions, okay? And we have the CC4 extended indicated in the top left there. You can see right there. Still loading. Oh gosh, don't freeze on me. Please don't freeze on me. CC4 extend. So that's the profile I applied to the character. And this includes a number of different blend shapes, you know, for the character's expressions, viseme shapes as well for your lip sync. It's all included in that. Oh, thank goodness. All right. I didn't want to start that over again. So things like, for example, cheeks, you can see cheek raise, okay? And then when we raise the cheek, there you see the wrinkles, all right? Pretty cool. You can already see them taking effect. They're fairly, like I said, they're fairly strong wrinkles. A lot of people don't have that amount of crow's feet when they do use the eye raise. You know, maybe old fogies like me do, but you never know. And there's a number of other ones here as well, like jaw open. No, jaw won't do much for us here. I think jaw forward. Oh, because again, he has the beard. So yeah, wrinkles on the chin are kind of moot right now. But you can see that there's all these blend shapes. And this is the CC4 extended profile. Now, one thing to mention before we move on is the CC4 extended profile was actually created, implemented into Character Creator before the wrinkle system was. So a lot of these blend shapes here, they're a little bit more extreme than they need to be. And the reason for that is because with the absence of a wrinkle system, we wanted to make the expressions more extreme to create that more dynamic look or the more realism, I guess. But now that the wrinkle system is in place, we don't need to have blend shapes that extreme, that strong. So what we have is, if we go into content once again here, and we go to now we have to go up to actor. Let's just go back all the way here. Actor and facial profile. Under item, we will have some smile CC facial profiles here. Now, these basically are just in addition to the CC4 extended profile, but these will be a little bit more subtle with the facial smiles and stuff. I didn't really show any smiles earlier, but they're very strong. But if we choose one of these, it basically just kind of tempers the smile, the blend of the smile a little bit more, so it's not as extreme, so that it can. Oh, the heck! I think my character just went out of the screen for some reason. I think I accidentally hit something on my keyboard here. Anyways, yeah, so it just kind of refines that a little bit. Now, either of these are fine. You can see that, small depth to, for example, will be fine. And you can see it just basically, you can replace all of these blend shapes here. There's a lot of them. Okay. And just go ahead and apply. And that's just going to make sure that your character has a bit more of a realistic facial expression set, as opposed to something that's exaggerated for the purpose of making up for the lack of wrinkles, if that makes sense. Okay, so now we're set with that. What we can do is now we can go into our modify panel and motions and edit facial. So let's just test out our wrinkle strengths with different facial expressions here. This will bring up our edit facial profile. We can obviously adjust the individual muscles like this on the face. You can see those wrinkles appear on the forehead. Boom, right there, like just like that. Or you can also just go to expressions, and I tend to find that the disgust expression styles have the most wrinkles on them. So something like this, you can see that one's. I love these disgust ones because it just like you can just imagine what they're looking at. Oh God, what the heck is that? You can see those heavy wrinkles around the eyes and around the forehead as well. Okay, stuff like this. Just different parts of the face. This one's pretty cool. I like this one because it has the very heavy wrinkles on the forehead there. Now you can also go with this enabled. You can let's actually put this on my other window, just so we can see these. You can see the overall influence. If we decrease it, notice the effect that the wrinkles have. So I mean, it definitely adds a touch of realism to your character right there. All right, overall influence like that. You can't see this, but I'm going to just choose other disgust templates. You can see that one's very, very effective on the chin as well as the eyes and the forehead as well. So this one has, this one's on the outer edges of the forehead. So pretty cool. I think these disgust. If you ever want to test out the extremities of your wrinkle template that you've used, use the disgust expressions here. Always they never disappoint. Anyways, okay. So, I mean, in addition to that, let's just choose something like this one. I like this one. He's kind of just like a little bit confused. And of course, you can increase or decrease the expressiveness as well. Okay, with each facial expression. We're going to just export this one character to Blender in just a moment here. So let's go ahead and, is that too extreme? I don't know. It's up to me, I guess, in the end. All right, we're just going to leave him with that facial expression. I think it looks kind of like, I don't know what he's looking at. You can picture it in your own head. Now, of course, in addition to these expressions, to the wrinkle templates right here, or sorry, the expression templates, you can also modify your character's blend shapes as well. The morphs rather. So if you go to morphs here, you can go to head. There's things like forehead, temple width, for example. All these things you can edit before you move your character into Blender or whatever. Again, this isn't a sculpting webinar, but you can just be aware of these. You can always use these parameters here to emphasize certain aspects of your character's appearance. And there's also the expressions one right here. So specifically for things like the cheek, like the let's see, left height. Okay, so these ones are used specifically for in combination with expressions. So I mean, again, 100 value there is really extreme. You just generally want to keep these fairly. That one's like he's really disappointed there. Anyways, you can go ahead and mess around with all of these expression morph sliders here to determine whatever you want. Okay, again, I'm not going to go too much into detail on that because it's not important as part of this webinar. You can always ask me about it later if you want. Oh, it looks like the hair is a little bit messed up there. Let's try a different expression just so we don't I guess we can always modify that probably. There you go. So I just selected the hair press the R hotkey to scale. I think it just needed to scale a little bit more. I think we're good. All right, cool. Anyways, now we're going to export to Blender. So let's go ahead and load up Blender. And while Blender's loading up, I am going to go over to, it is loading up, right? Yep, okay. I'm going to go and export my character from Character Creator. Here we are. File exports and FBX we're going to use, okay? And clothed character, I know he doesn't have much clothes, but clothed character is the option we'll use. Target tool preset, in this case, of course, we want to use Blender. And we don't have a motion. Well, actually, yeah, we do have the facial expression. So mesh and motion will have. Now, whenever you're using an auto setup with Blender or Unreal, you don't need to embed textures. Just disable that, okay? Very important. Current pose we'll use because that's his current facial expression. We don't need first frame and bind pose. Pretty simple. Just, the target tool preset is set for Blender. Export. And let's export this as webinar test Blender. All right. Because I did a couple tests, obviously, before today's webinar, just to make sure that there's no bugs. And we'll have that, and then we'll import it into Blender. Now, I did link the Blender Auto Setup previously, so make sure that you have that Blender Auto Setup plugin installed or add-on installed. Go to Edit Preferences, and if we go to, let's go to CC, right? You can see Character Creator, iClone Tools. So this is the Auto Setup add-on for Blender. And if you go down here, make sure that's the latest version. I believe this is the latest version, 1.6 right now. I updated it a few days ago, so unless somebody didn't tell me that they've updated. You can always go down and check here. Check now for CC Blender Tools Update. Okay, cool. It's add-on is up to date. All right, we're good to go. So we're going to import our character. To bring that up, let's just press the N hotkey. And you can see the CC iClone pipeline here. And just go ahead and select Import Character. And oh gosh, we saved that in a webinar folder, didn't we? Wrinkles. Webinar test Blender, this one here. All right, so we'll import that guy. He's going to be coming into Blender in just a moment. I think this takes normally a few minutes. So while we're doing that, I'll actually go back into Character Creator and look a little bit further ahead here. We have the facial expressions, Blender, okay. And so the next character we're going to bring in is the Toon character. Now, while this is loading in Blender, all right, he's up, but I think he needs to be loaded a bit more. So let's just go back to Character Creator for now. And I'm going to load in the second character, the stylized Toon character. Okay, we got 15 minutes left. Good to go. Let's bring in our, let's go to content here under actor and under pack. There's a number of different packs here. I'm just going to show you what to do if you have a character that's not a CC3 plus character yet. Like I mentioned before, if your character is a CC3, you're going to have an option to bring it in, import it as a, or convert it rather, to a CC3 plus character. So this content pack right here, you can see, let's just go back here one more. See the pack info. This is the Toon figures. So this is a kind of an older pack, as you can see. You can probably tell by the style. It's still pretty good, but it's still like more of an older pack, CC3. But I'll throw this in the chat window for you guys as well. Come on. There we go. Chat. All right. Yeah, it's just to be aware, guys, I won't be answering questions in the chat. I'll be answering Q&A at the very end because there's a lot on my plate right now. But yeah, this character design pack is cartoon character designer pack is pretty good. A lot of cool stuff in there. Body morphs, head morphs, characters, face and skin templates. So let's just throw in this one dude here, character, Toon figures. I don't know, Robert, sure. We don't need to save this dude here. We already have him up in Blender. Just replace all, it's fine. See if he's loaded into Blender yet. All right, looks like we're good into Blender. Let's just go into viewport shading mode here. And that'll just, I believe that'll take a second to load up the shaders anyways. So, oh, not too long. Okay, we'll stay in Blender for now. We won't go back and forth. I'm probably making you guys dizzy here. All right, so let's just get our look at our dude here. All right, so there he is, all imported into Blender. Textures already applied, fine and dandy. You can see he's got that kind of, I want to say inquisitive, but it's not really disgusted. Maybe someone can give me a recommendation for what this character looks like. What am I doing here? Oh, there we go. Yeah. Sometimes when you're constantly going back and forth from Blender to character creator to Unreal Engine, you forget the hotkeys. All right, so there he is. You got that blonde looking mustache, which is kind of unique. Now, character creator, the auto setup plugin here has a whole bunch of stuff, really cool stuff that you can throw on there as well. You can go down to scene tools, and there's a number of different scene lighting presets. You can go to studio, for example. Looks pretty cool right there. Aqua doesn't look too good in this case. Blue, blur, warm. Oh, it looks okay. All right, but you can get some really cool lighting presets here just to check out what your character, looks like. I like this authority one. It looks like the lighting is very high contrast in this one, so I like stuff like this. Pretty cool. So that's how your character looks in Blender. It's simple, easy as that. And the wrinkle maps are also imported in. I know a lot of people ask, are the wrinkle is the wrinkle system imported into when you export to Unreal or Blender? Is the wrinkle system included? Yes, it is. You can find it under material parameters down here: surface, subsurface, normals, emission. There's a whole bunch of stuff here that you can go into. There's the wrinkle maps right here. So again, you can adjust the strength of that. I won't go into too much detail here. So you can adjust the strength in Blender as well. If you want to increase or decrease the wrinkle strength. Again, this is just an overall wrinkle strength. So just like leave that one probably. All right. And you can always go into shading as well. And here's our dude. Come here, you son of a gun. There we go. Let's make sure we get his face here. And if you go to the material graph, you can see there is a node that is dedicated to the wrinkle map system. So if you want to get into the nitty gritty of it, you can always go here into your shading mode and just adjust all the various nodes and values here. And that's how you would just kind of mess around with your character in Blender. Again, I don't want to spend too much time going into the nitty gritty because we about 10 minutes left to get our other character into Unreal Engine. So yeah, if you have any more questions about the Blender process in the Q&A, feel free to put that in the appropriate window. So I'll close down Blender right now, and we'll continue with this character. This is the character that I mentioned earlier. You can see he's trying to use the same facial expression, but he doesn't have the same facial profile. That's why it looks so different. So those facial profiles I showed earlier, they do matter when it comes to the level of expressiveness that a character is able to portray. Let's go over here to content and, rather to modify attributes. You can see up top here, the type says CC3 character. Now, like I mentioned earlier, you need a CC3 plus character to apply the wrinkle system to. So if you have a CC3 character, you can actually convert it to a CC3 plus character using this button right here, convert CC3 to CC3 plus. Now that takes a little bit of time. It does some re-rigging and material reassignment and stuff like that. So I'm not going to waste our time in this webinar with this, but that's how you do it anyways. If you have a character that's CC3 and you want to convert to CC3 plus. Let's go ahead and find a different character. There was one in the packs. There's a Toon Lovers one. Yeah, this one here. I like this dude here. Toon Lovers. All right. Outfits Owen. We'll use Owen with an outfit because we don't want to see Owen naked at this point. Let's just go ahead and replace all and throw Owen in there. Now, when I'm exporting this character into Unreal, I'm going to do a little bit of facial animation as well. I guess I probably shouldn't have worn a hat, but I'm trying to grow before I get too old, I'm trying to grow my hair pretty long. That's why I'm wearing a cap. And man, long hair is super annoying, I gotta say. Anyways, that's a whole nother story. If you guys want to hear it, we can go for drinks sometime. But anyways, let's have our character. Let's give him some facial animation. Now to do that, we're going to load him up into iClone. So let's just go here and send him to iClone. Right, you can see he has that same facial expression. But again, the facial profile hasn't been added. So let's actually it's an interesting example I can show you of when you apply the facial pro or the CC4 extended facial profile, what a difference it'll make on your character, because he already has that facial expression applied. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go to our content manager, to the very top, facial profile, characters, and you can see there's the wrinkle enhancement ones. CC4 extended. Yep, we don't have to worry about all this stuff. Just go ahead and select apply. And you can see now right away, it's just a bit more of an expressive expression, a stronger expression, shall we say. You can see now it looks like that. So before it was a little bit soft, but now it's a lot more expressive. And that's the facial profile, what it allows you to do. When you have more blend shapes available to create these expressions, you can create stronger and more dynamic looks for your characters. All right, we did that before, or we didn't apply that, or we exported it to iClone before we applied that profile. So let's go ahead and do it again. Export our character to iClone. And I already have my iPhone laid out here. So I'm just going to do some really quick facial animation on the character. He imported in with that expression, which is cool, whatever. Let's go to plugins. What are we looking at here? Oh, you know what? I was doing some beta testing for another version of iClone here, and I think it just loaded up the version of iClone that doesn't have the Motion Live plugin installed. Let's see if we can bypass that. So I'm gonna have to load up iClone. I think my registry is set to just load up that beta version that doesn't have that plugin installed yet. So hopefully this one works. That was when I was doing all the AccuFace webinars, tutorials, which is if you're interested, a new facial motion capture tool available with iClone. AccuFace, you can use webcam. You can use actually recorded video. You can bring recorded video and import that in as well, which is the first time we've been able to do that. So I think that's appealing to a lot of people. Let's see if this one loads in, or if the Motion Live plugin loads in. I might go about 5 minutes over, guys, just so you're aware. We've got about 5 minutes left, and I think about 10 minutes left of work. So apologies for that. All right, we got our dude here. That's a dang it. Okay. I'd have to go back and reinstall the Motion Live plugin. All right, anyways, I was going to do some facial motion capture, but we can do the same thing with like facial. I mean, it's just the same process. But we can use the facial puppet tool just as easily. Okay, so let's just do that. Face puppet. Again, this is the quick and dirty way to move my zoom face out of the way there. The quick and dirty way to create some simple facial animation. Use Kevin, something like smile. Oh gosh, that looks weird. By the way, when you're previewing these profiles here, you can use the QWERTY hotkeys to go through like the anger, sadness, whatever it is. All right, let's just go ahead and whatever record a bit of this. What? And then yeah. Okay, whatever. We're not going for facial animation detail. This is not a facial animation webinar. Okay, so we got that. Let's go and set our timeline. to end at that frame there. Frame 474, I guess it is. All right, so we got about 474 frames of some weird facial expressions. And again, of course, you can use other tools to modify and adjust that as well. Let's throw in a body animation there really quick here. Just maybe a idle or something like that. Breathe one, breathe two, or breathe one? Breathe two. All right. Okay, this is gonna be like one of the weirdest animations I've ever exported, but there you go. Oh shoot, we forgot to load up Unreal. That might take a bit with the shaders, so let's go ahead and do that real quick. Over on this window. Where are you, Unreal? Oh, there we go. Epic Games Launcher. All right, so now this might take a second or two because I'm going to have to let's use 5.3. Okay, so again, I did mention earlier that I did provide the link for the Unreal Engine auto setup tool. So you definitely want to have that installed on your project before you're able to do all this auto setup things. I'm not going to do any Unreal Live Link in today's webinar, but you also have Unreal Live Link available as well, which is really cool plugin. Allows you in real time to just transfer everything from lighting to camera to characters, animation, and everything between iClone and Unreal. And we have tutorials on that I can recommend to you guys if you have any questions about that. This will be loaded up in just 2 shakes of a lamb's tail. All right. We already got. I already had this project saved. So let's just delete this guy for now, and I'll show you the process, which isn't really much. let's just go to our main content folder. Let's just create a new folder called webinar test. Okay. I always put my characters all in like a same folder when I'm bringing them in from iClone to Unreal. Okay, cool. So now from iClone, we can also export FBX from iClone. Export FBX here. This time we're going to choose the Unreal preset, not the Blender preset. Okay. We'll use the range. It'll automatically go to that animation range right there. We don't want to embed the textures. The other stuff, delete hidden faces, pretty much recommended. If your character is 4K, you want to change this from 2048 to 4096. Okay, and then just go ahead and export that. Let's just call this webinar. I don't know what the other names are that I've used in the past. So that's a very unique one to choose. All right, so this is going to export our FBX, and we're going to import that into Unreal in just a moment. On top of that, let's see. Oh, gosh dang it. I forgot the main purpose of having this guy available or using this character, which is to showcase the stylized wrinkles for toon type characters. So once this exports, we'll just go ahead and throw the wrinkles on before. I mean, actually, what we can do, since I already have the one character in without the wrinkles or with the wrinkles, and this character doesn't have the wrinkles applied yet, we can kind of compare those two. That might be a better idea to save time because we only have over time already. Okay, let's bring in this guy that we just exported. Webinar. Whoops, that's the Unreal project. Here we go. Okay, I'm just going to bring this into my Unreal project. So when you bring in a character, you have the option for standard shader, low shader, and high quality shader. I'm just going to use a high quality shader right now. So it looks the best it can be. And it's going to bring up some import options for us. And well, I guess while it's importing into Unreal, I can go in, throw in those wrinkles those stylized wrinkles onto our character. Okay, we're fine here. Skeleton mesh. You want to use time 0 as reference pose. And we want to import morph target since we have some facial morphs. And animation, import, yes, animated time. Okay, good. So import all. again, we have plenty of tutorials that go into detail on the import settings for Unreal Engine. If you have any questions, I'm sorry, I just went through that really quick. But it's going to take another couple minutes here to import our character. So this character we're importing right now doesn't have the wrinkles applied. So I'm going to put him side by side with the character that does have the wrinkles applied, and we'll see the difference in just a moment. And in character creator here, let's go to our content and let's go back to the wrinkles, expression wrinkles. And in that wrinkles essentials pack, like I mentioned before, there's a stylized folder. Okay, and these ones are meant for toon type characters. So if I use, for example, Ripple on this one, I think he does have an expression already that should show some wrinkles on the character. Just wait for that to load up here. So. But you can see in the thumbnails, basically this one here is mainly around the forehead. So let's give him a different expression using our edit facial tool. And again, I like to use those discuss ones. Which is maybe a bit stronger. Let's maybe use a surprise one because this one has fairly focused on the forehead. Okay, there you can see the wrinkles on the forehead. So let's zoom in a little bit on the face. And you can see these ones are the diffuse maps for these ones are a little bit different because they're meant for characters that have toon shading, really. So if you go to our expressions right here, you can see on the forehead, again, they're very subtle. They're not like deep and ragged, like crooked, like the realistic type characters. They're very uniform right here. Okay, so that's kind of the templates right there. And again, you can see that you can create custom wrinkles here as well. And that's what I'm going to do right now. For wrinkle set 2, let's actually just create a wrinkle set let's customize our wrinkles right here using the diffuse map. So for wrinkle set 1, the forehead here, I'm going to customize these wrinkles using Photoshop. You can customize the diffuse and the normal, and generally you want to like harmonize those two. You want to have them modified in the same way. Of course, you can generate a normal map from a diffuse map. That's a whole nother can of worms. But to do this, just select the diffuse and go to individualize. And it's gonna basically create a diffuse map for you here. What you can do is just load that up into Photoshop. Just like load it up here using that launch into Photoshop button. And what's going to happen is that this wrinkle is only going to appear, obviously, when the forehead allows for it, when the forehead expression allows for it. Like this surprise, you can see I have tons of wrinkles on my forehead. Not sure if it's close enough to the camera, but I know that my face is kind of washed out with the lighting here. But anyways, okay, what we're going to do here is just create a little smiley face just for time's sake here. So again, I'm creating a smiley face here, but this smiley face isn't going to show until the wrinkles are brought forth, shall we say, using the old Bible language. Okay, so here you can see once I save it, I create that smiley face and I save it, the wrinkles are showing. Now, if I decrease that, they'll slowly disappear, as will the wrinkles. So just imagine that smiley face that I drew is I spent some time doing some intimate shading. Intricate, that's the word I'm looking for. Intricate shading on the forehead wrinkles. It'll look like that. Now, if we go back to our edit facial tool here, and let's just choose a default expression, neutral expression for now, and take something like the forehead, and it's not really showing that much. Let's take everything here and bring it up. There you go. Okay, so it'll only start appearing once the wrinkle system calls for it. Okay, so you can see that smiley face will gradually appear and disappear. Now, obviously, you're not going to want to put, I mean, there's scenarios where you could want to put a smiley face on a character's forehead, don't get me wrong, but I think generally you're not going to want to do that. But that's just showing you the functionality of the wrinkle system if you want to create your own wrinkles there. You can mess around and have fun with that on your own time. But again, you can also do the same with the normal map. I won't worry too much about that since we're already 5 minutes over time. I do want to show the results in Unreal here. Oh man, this thing's still going. All right, I guess while this is still going, I think it's probably on its last minute or so here. Let's close down our Photoshop just to make sure we're conserving resources. Okay, cool. I think that's pretty much the entire live demo. So I think we can move on to the Q&A right now. Again, thanks everyone for sticking with me here. Appreciate you all attending today's webinar. So if you have some questions, I know it looks like we already have a few in the Q&A. I'm going to be answering those now while I wait for the shaders to load up in Unreal. Again, Unreal not really known for its speedy operations, but okay, cool. Let's get to the Q&A. All right. First question is from Gautam. Can you create wrinkle maps for custom characters? Yes, absolutely you can. You can apply the wrinkle maps to any character, really. Again, like I mentioned, it has to be a CC3 plus character, but you can, using AccuRig, you can make your character CC3 plus using AccuRig. So just be aware of that. For those of you who aren't familiar with AccuRig, it's a great part of our working environment. So let's go AccuRig here. And probably just go AccuRig Reillusion. It'll just pop up. Cool. All right. Highly recommend checking out our actor course site here. Let's go ahead and copy that into the chat window for you guys. Where is my chat window? There it is. Highly recommend checking out the actor course site. This is, I mean, it's grown so much. We launched it a couple years ago. It's grown so much. It has so many emotions, so many actors. Specifically, I mean, if you're in like architectural pre-visualization, we got tons, like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of characters. A little bit of a teaser here. We are launching a crowd system with iClone 8.4, which is coming out at the beginning of December. It's going to be super cool. I promise you guys. I'm already doing the tutorials on it. It's really wild. The whole crowd system. You can create your own crowds, move them around with Motion Director. It's basically like Motion Director on crack. Or whatever. It's a more intense Motion Director, shall we say. And Motion Director is also being upgraded to allow for custom motions and custom idols to be included as well. And you can mix different motions in Motion Director. It's really cool. So look forward to those tutorials, I think probably in the next couple of weeks. Just working on them right now. What was I in here for originally for? Oh yeah, AccuRig. Sorry, I got off track there. I got too excited about the new updates with 8.4. AccuRig right here. So you could just download it for free. It's an application. Bring in like any mesh character really, and once you're set, you can convert it to a CC2 plus character, and you're good to go. Yeah. Hopefully that answers your question there, Gautam. I know I went a little bit off topic, but okay, cool. Let's go to the next one from Rosemary. What's the best way to layer skin textures? For example, where would the pore layer be in the layer organization? Because despite the wrinkles, your guy's skin looks a bit like molded plastic. I think that might be a lot of it because I like to emphasize the oiliness of the character's skin, so the molded plastic kind of does that. But again, the character that I chose, Rosemary, was only a 2K character. That's going to be like the biggest difference. It's going to double your quality literally when you go to 4K. I can't load up that character again, but to answer your question, it's honestly, I've never really messed around too much with like the order of the layers. I know the order of the layers does matter when you're adding them onto your character in the appearance editor. I would basically just start with the larger ones. I know I applied a large wrinkle template to the character, the one that wasn't like the small detailed wrinkles. Probably just put that at the bottom. That would be my recommendation. I haven't really noticed too much of a difference, to be very honest with you, in the layer or in the order of the layers. but logic would dictate for myself that you would want to have the more um, comprehensive, the larger, less detailed layers on the bottom, and then just like throw on this, like, because Rosemary was mentioning about pores, which are that's like the last detail you want to add is like those pore sizes and stuff. Throw that on at the very end. I think that would be the process that you want to go through. Feel free anyone else to chirp in as well in the chat. I know there's a lot of people here that are really good at the software, a lot of experience. You can chirp in the chat window, and I'd be happy to I'm sure all the other attendees would be happy to see that as well. There was one in the chat here. Cool. Okay. Let me just make sure our Unreal project or our character is all good. Okay, so this is the webinar guy. You can see we just have the animation sequence here. We can throw it in real quick. All right. So he has that just ridiculous looking like kind of like look on his face. You can see all the blend shapes, their strengths here. Let's just zoom in a little quicker here. All right. But cool, everything is imported in just perfectly fine. Again, this is 5.3, so this is the latest iteration of Unreal. We have everything set up for auto setup for this. Now, pay attention to the character's brows. I mean, there's not much wrinkles going on there, right? There's not much in terms of wrinkles. It's all just blend shapes. There's not a wrinkle system included there. And that's, like I mentioned before, that character is not using the wrinkle system. But if we go to the test that I did earlier, this is just some weird one that I did. Let's just take a look at this animation sequence. Oh yeah, this is a bad example because this one I was just testing. I didn't even utilize wrinkles on this one, but anyways, you can trust me that the wrinkle system goes over into Unreal. They basically look the same right now because he just doesn't have an expression. But apologies for that. But yeah, the wrinkle system does transfer over. No worries. I mean, you can let's see if we go over here to our skeletal mesh. We can also do things like our morph targets. Let's zoop. Let's get our character's face nice and close here. Or these custom ones. Oh, that's I think those might be might actually be the wrinkle ones. Let's just try and puff our cheeks a little bit. That's not too much for wrinkles. Mouth smile left, right? Okay, that's not doing much either. How about the forehead? There's all these custom ones. Oh man. Yeah, these ones are used for visemes. That's what they're used for. The custom ones are used for viseme shapes. So viseme, in case you're unaware, is the lip syncing for the character. I didn't do any lip syncing here though. But you should technically be able to see the wrinkles up here when these are enabled. I'm trying to find the forehead one. Tongue, head backward. All right. Anyways, they will appear. You gotta trust me on that one. I know I'm asking for a lot of trust. But there you go. There you go. Okay, it's not really showing up that much, but yeah, once you export with the wrinkle map, it has to bake that wrinkle map. So I think that's why it's not really showing up here, to be honest. But yeah, once you export it with the wrinkles from Character Creator, you can trust me on that one. It will show up in Unreal. Anyways, let's move on to the next question here from Crazy Horse. Anyways, this is off topic. I have 3 avatars loaded in iClone, all with motions, and I select all 3. They all show up together in the timeline editor. However, when I click on one motion file to adjust its timing, the others disappear. Is there a way of adjusting a track's motion while still having the other tracks remain invisible? Good question, Crazy Horse. Cool name. This is pretty simple, and it all involves one of the most frequently used options in the timeline, which is this object related track. Okay, So whenever you have object related track selected, the one I'm mousing over right now, whenever you have this selected, whatever is selected in your scene, in your viewport, that's going to appear. If you select multiple things in your viewport, multiple tracks are going to appear. Each set of tracks for their respective character. Now, say for example, I have let's just maybe duplicate this guy really quick. So if I object related track selected, and I select all three characters, it's going to, of course, select, so you can see Owen, Owen 0, Owen 1. Now, if I want to, modify one track without taking away the other ones, all I really got to do is just deselect object related track there, and then they'll all remain there. All right. So a really quick fix for that. Hopefully that helps you there, Crazy Horse. Again, if you have that selected and you just select one character, it's only going to have that one character's tracks, the tracks for that one character enabled. All right. Another question from Rosemary. You mean the first guy, not the cartoon guy? Oh yeah, I think I kind of follow what you were saying. I think this was a follow-up question from Rosemary there. Okay, Pete mentions here, I just came in. Can you repost the store links for the expression packs? Yep, absolutely. You can find those in the content manager under expression wrinkles, expression essentials. Oh, we got to go back one more. Wrinkle essentials. There we go. Right click, view product page. And again, I sorry, apologies for the extended URL here, just because it does that when you send it from the application. Shabam. All right, there you go. Thank you, Pete. All right, question from Mark. What if you wanted to export a character with animation to include voice to use in a VR scene for request 2 or 3? How would you do it? To export a character with animation that includes voice. So, man, there's a lot of different ways you can do that, Mark. A good question. You can record the audio live while you're doing the facial performance in iClone. So iClone can actually record the audio onto a separate Viseme track while you're doing it, while you're doing the facial performance. So if I'm doing facial capture right now, it'll record the audio live. I mean, depending how good your mic is, you'll want to clean up that audio probably a little bit later. So you can also just import audio by itself and combine that with facial expressions. You just importing the audio and using the AccuLips, which is the lip syncing system. Those ways will both work, to be honest. And with AccuFace, the new facial motion capture, I find AccuFace has fairly decent results for lip syncing, even without AccuLips. There's too many Accus to keep track of. But AccuFace is actually created with the intention of being combined with AccuLips. So if you do have the AccuFace plugin and do the facial motion capture with that, I mean, you can always have a recording device recording in the background, like Audacity, or even just recording via your system recorder, and align that, coordinate that with your facial performance later on. My workflow, to be honest, I normally just record the audio live into iClone, but I have that audio saved later, and also as an MP3. So I record in iClone and as a separate MP3, and I clean up the audio later on, and then I bring that audio back in and import it back in using AccuLips. So that may seem kind of like a roundabout way, but just because I just like the clean audio, so I do record that audio outside of iClone, because unfortunately iClone doesn't have all those cleaning the background audio, cleaning the background noise and stuff like that included. So like I mentioned, I do record the audio separately and bring that in utilizing AccuLips. That's just my workflow. Other people have different ones, so there's no real right answer to that, but that's mine. Okay, cool. Hopefully that answered your question anyways. Next question's from Kurt. A couple of questions. Can the wrinkle system, number one, can the wrinkle system include displacement for bumpiness in iClone, or will it only recognize normals? It only recognizes normals. There's no displacements involved with the wrinkle maps right now. That might be a thing in the future, but right now, yeah, the wrinkle system only utilizes the diffuse. If we go back again, you can see the diffuse, the normal, and the roughness. Again, roughness is just for the texture. Okay. Question 2 from Kurt here. In ZBrush face tools, when making the custom wrinkles, is it somehow possible to split the body parts in ZBrush and have the body part normals converted to displacement, just like the head? Kurt, I'll tell you, I'm so not familiar with ZBrush. I know the basic functionality of ZBrush. I'm definitely not an artist. So if you ask me that question, again, I create ZBrush tutorials. If I do create a ZBrush tutorial, it's with the help of our team. But you may notice that a lot of our ZBrush tutorials are not done by me, because I have very little experience in ZBrush. Unfortunately, it's an excellent program, but I've just not gotten. Never honed my modeling skills, shall we say. But let me try and see if I can split the body parts. No, I'm sorry. I can't give you a solid answer for that. Maybe if you email me, I can send that to the team. But I wouldn't want to mislead you in any way, because my knowledge of ZBrush is very cursory at the best. Yeah. So again, for the rest of your question there, it's a good question, Cry. I really think that this is something that's relevant to a lot of people that do use ZBrush. Probably try and maybe send me an email, kai@realism.com, kai@realism.com, and I'll try and get an answer for you there. You can also send to our forums as well. But yeah, I'd actually like to know the answer for that as well. Kurt's question is kind of a bit more of a technical question about ZBrush, which I really am not super familiar with, so I apologize to everyone for that. But yeah, I'll get it to the right people. Okay, question from Raymona. I was wondering if you were still doing the instructor-led course. You mentioned it months ago. However, there's no contact information for you on the site. Yeah, so I've had I get many people asking me for personal training in iClone and character creator and stuff like that. I do it on occasion. Best way to do is by just contacting me personally, kai@religion.com. My availability fluctuates severely throughout the year, but yeah, I mean, I'm happy to take on private students at any time when I do have the availability. Again, work-life balance for a lot of people. But yeah, emailing me is probably the best option there, kai@religion.com. I know I'm not on the Global Training Center page, because we try and promote our users more for that. Okay, next question's from Kieran. Once you activate expression wrinkles, they are automatically included when you export to FBX. Yes, good question. I walked away when you sent the first character to iClone. How dare you? No, just kidding. Good question, Kieran. Yes, when you activate expression wrinkles, they're not baked when you click activate expression wrinkles. They're baked when you export to FBX, so they'll be baked into your FBX. And I think we saw an example of that when I tried to use the blend shapes in Unreal Engine without first baking the expressions. You don't get those wrinkles as much as you normally would. You don't get them at all, actually. They won't work unless you bake them upon your export. Okay. Hopefully that's clear to everyone. I kind of glazed over that a little bit earlier, but the reason that the wrinkles didn't appear in Unreal was because I didn't export them with the animation, so they weren't baked. I did export the character that has the wrinkle system enabled, but they won't be enabled unless you bake them upon your FBX export. Hopefully that's clear as mud. I don't know how to make it clear, but I can always explain more later. The question from Gautam here. Can you optimize the character and still retain all of the expressions? Yes, there's many ways you can customize and optimize your character. Obviously, the most detailed way you can change your character is using the facial key editor. So if we go over here, this dude, I think we all know that tool. We don't need to go into it, but it's over here. Modify, um, edit facial right here. This is the last line of editing that you normally use when you're changing your character. That's for the body. The face one here is edit face key. Again, we have this available in Character Creator as well as iClone. So if you want to just subtly raise your eyebrow, move this eyeball a little bit to the side and make this guy look a little bit weird, a little bit wonky. You can do that as well. Sorry, sometimes I get a little bit ahead of myself. Oh, there we go. All right, cool. Yes, you can optimize the character and still retain all the expressions. I think maybe you're talking about adding the additional expression profile, facial expression profile, but we did that during the webinar. So, okay, question from Crazy Horse. Could you share with us the system that you are using? Is it Windows, i5, i7? Yeah, I'm using a GTX or GeForce rather, 3080 on this computer. How do you do that? It's just like system configure whatever. I forget. I haven't done this in ages. Oh no. Yeah, maybe someone can throw in the chat. I forget how to check that. What do you do? Like, is it system config, system information? This is the one probably. Yeah, there we go. All right, there you go. It's all the shenanigans that are available here. Again, this is nothing incredible. I think this is a pretty standard gaming desktop these days. It's nothing incredible. And I kind of use this computer just to because it gives me a better sense of how like most people would probably use the software, the speed and the timing they're looking at. But yeah, components. Yeah, I forget where everything is. I haven't done this in so long. Anyways, that's the stuff I have. The most important is normally your video card and your RAM. Yeah. All right. Another question from Crazy Horse. To your knowledge, how are the plans for including quadrupeds into CC coming along? So this has been something that we've been working on for, gosh, years now, at least 2 years, bringing quadrupeds into Character Creator. Super high, like I mentioned, super high demand feature to bring it in. It's a lot of work. We're a small team, a couple hundred people, less than a couple hundred people, and we're working on it as much as we can. Again, I'm thinking it's supposed to be the last. If I recall the product map, it's supposed to be the last update of version 8. So that would be 8.5, 8.6 maybe. And I think it's end of next year. That was what I recall. Again, don't quote me on that, but it is coming. I can tell you that for sure. Because everyone's like, oh, quadrupeds. And then also like rigging the face. Both of those are in the works. Question from LV here. Hello, hope all is well. All is pretty well. It's a little off topic, but I wanted to know if you had some tips fixing the eyes and the mouth. For headshot to create my character and eyelids look crazy scary when the eyes are closed and the bottom lip of the mouth has a rim that looks like the double bottom lip. Good question, LV. Honestly, when you're bringing in a custom character, especially, there's a few ways you can. Obviously, this guy is a pretty bad example because he looks just ridiculous right now, but generally what you want to do is you can go into your facial expressions, like I mentioned there. The facial expression editor, let's just throw it in here again. Oops, we have idols, 2 idols there. Facial profile. The CC4 extended. Where is it? There we go. And if you find that your character, where's the stupid window for that? Facial profile editor. It's supposed to be somewhere. It normally just pops up when I hear that. So forget where it is. Edit. Oh goodness, this is making me look real bad here. Facial profile editor. Am I just missing something here? That window should be appearing somewhere. Gosh, where is it again? Normally it just appears when you apply that thing. Apply, dang it. Yeah. Anyways, that's if you can find it. Where is that stupid thing? I mean, I should be able to. Should be in Windows, I thought. Let's try all panels, whatever. It'll pop up with one of these. Facial profile editor. Someone maybe can throw in the chat window where that facial profile editor is. Oh man, visual settings manager. I think I'm just missing it somewhere here. I know it's somewhere along here. But anyways, you can adjust those blend shapes in the facial profile editor to adjust all of that stuff. Goodness sakes. Oh, it's an animation, someone says here. That's what I thought. Am I just blind? Oh, sorry. In the actual modify panel. I always thought it was in the here. If I need training, I'm happy to help. Someone said, "Oh man, goodness sakes, is it in here?" Oh man, this is brutal. Edit. Okay, it's somewhere. It's somewhere, guys. I promise. I'm just having a like crazy brain fart right now, so I know it's somewhere in here. It's goodness sakes, Kai. Facial profile editor. Anyways, someone says press Control U. All right, apologies, guys. I'm so dumb right now. Control U. Oh, there we go. Thank you to wait, did it bring up? Did it bring it up? Control U. Oh man, this is just brutal. Okay, where am I here? Control U. Oh, am I? Oh, you know what? Was I an iClone? Oh, I was an iClone. Good Lord. All right. Apologies for that, guys. Oh man, it's so brutal when that happens live on air. You're like, oh, like where is this stupid thing? It is over here, facial profile editor. So the problem was I was going through iClone. I'm really sorry, guys. Just wasted like 3 minutes of your time there. But it's in the character creator, facial profile F8 right here. All right. Gosh, that's embarrassing. Yeah. The facial profile editor right here. Okay. So if your character has too many, yeah, great lesson. Everyone makes mistakes, guys. You go to edit expressions here, and if your character, if you find that like maybe the like you mentioned, who was it? LV, like your lip is going too far through your character's teeth or something like that. Then you just go into the expression editor or facial profile editor rather. Just make sure you load the CC4 extended profile. And something like that might be happening to you is something like this, like the jaw that's over here, maybe the jaw backwards. If you do like jaw backwards, like, say like a value of like 300 or something, for example, or a value of like negative 100, it's going to look weird. It's going to go through his mustache. I mean, it doesn't look that weird, to be honest, but like that. Okay, just set the values here. Once you set these values, um, then you're good. All right. Make sure that you use quick update. Once you set them, use quick update. Okay. This button right here, the like lightning bolt there. Make sure you set that. All right. Let's make sure we remember which program we're in as we're going forward here. Question from Mark: how to convert a CC3 or CC4 character to GLTF or GLB for use in VR? I haven't used that pipeline myself, Mark. Good question though. But right now we're focusing on the Unreal, Blender, and Omniverse pipelines because we just find that that's where most of our users are taking their characters and their animations into for final rendering. So we're focusing on those three programs. The VR has kind of taken a little bit of a backseat. I mean, you can obviously do the VR stuff really easily in Unreal. Not really easily, but in Unreal. Yeah, right now it's USD export to Omniverse, FBX export, BVH export, Alembic export for making physics and stuff like that. And here, yeah, I don't know too much about GLTF or GLB, so apologies for that. Question from Ken. Live face works great with my iPhone. Is there a benefit to adding AccuFace to my system? Good question, Ken. I had the very same question when we were first launching it. I was like, well, why not just use the iPhone? Because a lot of us have iPhones. AccuFace is for those people that don't have iPhones, first and foremost. The other benefit, like I mentioned before, is you're now able to import a video. So AccuFace allows you to import the video and do the facial motion capture from the video, which is really cool. And another thing that AccuFace does is it works really well in tandem with AccuLips. I mean, AccuFace, AccuLips, you think they'd work well together, and they do. So AccuLips is used to kind of just optimize the capture from AccuFace. And we do have an AccuFace webinar for those of you who are interested, actually coming up in, I think it's the second week of December. So stay tuned for that. Check out the webinar chat or webinar page and sign up for that AccuFace webinar. It's going to be on, I think, December 12th is when I think it is. So make sure you check that out. Those are the two biggest benefits, though. Thanks for the question, Ken. Xiang Tao Wu asks how hard to create or acquire more realistic wrinkle maps. I mean, I get asked this kind of question pretty often when it comes to iClone and Character Creator. The quality of your result is the work you put in. I mean, iClone Realism provides a lot of template stuff in the content store, in the marketplace. You can buy like these wrinkle templates. You can buy like blend shapes. You can buy all kinds of stuff. The work you put into customizing your own directly affects the result that you get. That's really all I can say. There's a lot of stuff in the content store, and a lot of our software is made for people who need to have a more efficient workflow, who want to save time on these things. So you're able to start out using our templates and just build on our templates instead of starting from scratch, which is one of the main benefits. And there's no royalties involved at all. So just go ahead and do that. And that's really all I can say in terms of that. But thanks for the question, Xiang Tao. So Kurt, I think you're elaborating on your previous comment about quadrupeds. Use cloned bone hierarchies and custom profiles to switch to them and use motion capture. Yeah, I mean that's ideal. There's so many wishful features in iClone. It's incredible. I mean, we get people emailing us like multiple times a day, just saying like, can you add this? Can you add that? Can you add this? But yeah, Kurt, I think we really appreciate your feedback, and it's awesome that you're well, you have good knowledge of the whole working environment there. I think that hopefully we can do that in the future for sure. Okay, question from Len. I'm trying to create custom wrinkles for an older character where the wrinkles have been chiseled with age. With this wrinkle system, how do I do it? So how do I have it so the wrinkles don't disappear completely when the face goes into a neutral pose? Okay, very good question, Len. So the wrinkle system is only utilized when your character is in an expression. So if you have a completely neutral expression, you're not going to have much in terms of wrinkles when it comes to the wrinkle system, dedicated wrinkle system. I did show earlier applying those wrinkle templates to my character using the appearance editor. That's your option. So you have to use the appearance editor to do that. The wrinkle system, again, is made specifically for the animated result. So you're not going to have wrinkles when there's no facial expression. I think there's some parameters you can tweak so that you might have some, like you put the speed value, like I mentioned before, really low. That'll create wrinkles really fast. But generally, when you're looking at the non-animated appearance of your character, use the appearance editor for that. Okay, question from Rosemary again. Are we ever going to get underarm hair? Huh. I've been working at Realism for like about 10 years, more than 10 years now. I've never had anyone ask me about underarm hair. I know some men shave theirs and some women don't, but not having that reduces realism for body hair. Yeah, absolutely. Um, Man, that's a good question. I mean, technically you could add it on the diffuse map of your body. I mean, you can launch your diffuse map into Photoshop and throw some underarm hair in there. And I don't see what's stopping you as well from, taking one of the beard templates and moving it. You can actually move it on your character's body and attach it to, I think, maybe a shoulder bone or something. That would be a bit more tricky. But yeah, that's a kind of an interesting question. I've never come across that before. But thanks, Rosemary. I don't think we have any plans to add that. Again, but you can add it, no problem. It's going to be a custom job for sure. The two ways I mentioned, using the diffuse, you can probably even use displacement maps to do that on the body. But yeah, it's going to take some work because we don't have any templates for it in the content store. If there is a super high demand for armpit hair, man, somebody better publish that in the content store because it'll be it'll be selling like hotcakes. Okay, question from Kurt. Yeah, okay, so this is when I was just moving around like an idiot looking for the facial profile editor in the wrong program. Thanks, Kurt. Rosemary and fur. Oh, fur, yeah. Oh man, fur. It's a tricky thing because there's so much geometry involved in fur, and iClone is a real-time program. I know things like Blender and Unreal have very good results for fur, like the cards and stuff like that. But we're still working on it on our end. So yeah, it'll be, maybe it's in Character Creator and not in iClone. Yeah, that's just me. It's been a long day. Anyways, another question from Crazy Horse. In iClone, when you set something like a floor to a dummy, in the attributes panel, do the settings below the check on off do anything? I have tried to use a panel to block GI lighting to no avail. Okay, so first of all, to use a panel to block GI lighting, it's going to work, but it's not going to be 100% because global illumination is, it's refracted, so it's going to just bounce off of other things. It's going to go around your panel first of all. So I think this is kind of a more of a lighting question. And Crazy Horse, I can tell you, like, you have the option for, I'm an iClone, good. Scene manager, you have the option to determine like your items, any item in your scene, any prop, whatever, how it takes light, like using this button right here. You can see it can all shadows. That means it receives shadows, it casts shadows. You can select cast shadow only right here, receive only, no shadows. That might be something that you might want to look into right here. Sometimes you don't want an object in your scene to cast shadows, so just use that in the scene manager. Yeah, I think that would be my answer to that. If you set it as a dummy, I'm not sure if you set something as a dummy, can it actually cast a shadow? I don't think dummies cast shadows because they're not used for shadow stuff. Um, I don't think it can be. So you can set it as a dummy right there in the attributes. Right click on it. Cast only. I guess you can. I don't know if it's gonna if it works because I don't have shadows in this scene or any lighting in the scene really. But I don't think. I mean, I think maybe you can cast shadows on dummies. But anyways, this is what you want to look into. I don't want to bumble around like an idiot like I've already done with the facial profile editor. But yeah, maybe you can email me more detail about that later. Crazy Horse. Rosemary, I tried the beard thing. It looked weird. Yeah, I can think it probably looked pretty weird. Yeah. Again, there's nothing specifically for that solution at this time. But yeah, if there's enough demand for anything, I mean, yeah, we have a team of guys that are like, yeah, we'll do it. They're all gung ho. Sheng Tao again. I saw CC4 as a button to load Python script. However, it seems there is no document to explain how to use it. Could you explain a little bit about what the button is used for? As far as I know, iClone provided the Python API, but not CC4. Yeah, you're correct. So, Sheng Tao, you mentioned that we provided the iClone API, iClone Python API, but not CC4. That is correct. Now, in terms of man, I don't think anyone's actually created a plugin. I think it's just there. I don't think anyone's actually created a plugin, Python plugin for Character Creator. Not that I know of. I mean, if you've seen one, maybe in the marketplace or something like that. Oh shoot! I'm gonna go to like Facebook Marketplace. Come on, you dingus. Illusion Marketplace. There we go. You notice how I just often just use Google instead of navigating through our website. Character Creator. Yeah, I don't see any. Yeah, I don't see plugins here. I mean, you have them in the in iClone, but plugins right here, but not in Character Creator. So I think that's just something that might be added in the future. I don't think anyone's actually added any Python plugins for Character Creator. But good question. I mean, one of the reasons I love doing these things is because I just notice things that I've never noticed before, and that's a good example of that from Sheng Tao. Never noticed that in Character Creator. But yeah, I don't think there's any plugins available for Python yet. But okay, so a couple more questions when we'll end off this webinar. Question from LV: do you have to use Photoshop to make edits, or is there another program you can recommend to do the same thing? Yeah, totally. You can use I mean, there's all sorts of free programs, just like Photoshop. You can use tons of stuff out there. GIMP is one that a lot of people use. Do I have anything installed on this computer? No, but you can basically just search for like free Photoshop alternatives. Anything that handles a JPEG or a PNG, that'll be fine. Hopefully that answers your question, Alvi. I mean, you don't have to pay however much a month for Photoshop or the Adobe suite. Rosemary asks, is this all relevant to Omniverse, or am I just being dumb? No, you're not. You're definitely not being dumb. I'm the dumb one looking around for 5 minutes for something on a live webinar. But no, it's relevant to Omniverse as well, because again, if you have the animations with the wrinkles, it's gonna bake those wrinkles, and those will appear in Omniverse as well. So yeah, any facial animation that you export, once it's baked to an FBX, it's going to appear with those wrinkles in Omniverse as well. And I love Omniverse. I'm a huge fan of Omniverse. Really fast. Especially if you have an NVIDIA card like me, it's really optimized for use with that. So I tend to do a lot more work in Blender these days, but Omniverse is something I'm looking forward to getting back into. Oh yeah, Crazy Horse mentioned as well popcorn effects. This is something I didn't really even think about this. We have the popcorn effects plugin that has a fur preset. It might be a solution for underarm hair. Thanks for that, Crazy Horse. I believe it was Rosemary who was asking about the popcorn effects. Because there is one that you can use for like, stuff like grass or fur and stuff. I had mixed results from this from what I remember. I mean, this is launched, 2020. So maybe 2019, even a few years ago. You can give it a free trial right here. I'll throw this link in the chat window for you, Rosemary. Yeah, thanks, Crazy Horse. All right, cool. Yeah, there's a link for you. Okay, so some people in chat were mentioning GIMP, Krita, for the free Photoshop alternative. Yeah, cool. Ramona, please link the AccuFace webinar. Is it up there yet? Let's double check. Go to learn, free online tutorials, and then webinars, and then upcoming. That's this one. Yeah, so this is that one right here, advanced facial mocap editing in iClone. And I'll throw this link in the chat window for you guys. Oops, my Zoom's in the way there. All right, so there's the Zoom link for the upcoming webinar on December 12th. That'll be really fun. I'm looking forward to doing some facial animation. I'm not the best at it, but I try my best. Okay, one more question from Crazy Horse. What's the best solution for using foliage in Omniverse with wind? Oh man, foliage and Omniverse. I mean, they have a whole bunch of template content you can just throw in there. I haven't looked much beyond that, to be honest, Crazy Horse. Maybe someone who has more recent experience in Omniverse can answer Crazy Horse for that one. But yeah, I know I just use the embedded stuff really, that I've used in the past. Or I mean, you can also use the foliage in iClone and import that to Omniverse. The shaders import in over quite well. I know speed tree stuff works quite well in Omniverse. So just give it a shot. I mean, there's a number of different options. You can even get stuff from Sketchfab too. But yeah. All right. I think we're going to end off the webinar. That was awesome. We're done the Q&A. So again, I want to thank everyone so much for attending today. Thanks for sticking with me through my bumbling about looking for things that didn't exist. And don't forget to sign up for send us back the feedback form and get a 10% discount for the content store. And we will that discount is stackable with other discounts as well, by the way. So if you throw that on your Black Friday discounts as well. And you can always email me, kai@realism.com. Again, thanks so much for your patience and sticking with me today. And hopefully you guys have a great time experimenting with the wrinkles and all that fun stuff. So adios, everyone. Have a good Tuesday, Wednesday, and I'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.